This is episode 66 of Standing Out. Standing Out is a remarkable interview-style podcast with the intention to highlight women and men making outstanding contributions in their field. This podcast is generously sponsored by Think Global. Think Global is a business advisory firm working with women entrepreneurs around the globe to scale their businesses to the next level. Today, I'd like to welcome Mark Aramli. Mark is the inventor and principal engineer for the patent-pending BedJet CCS. Mark's first engineering role was at United Technologies, builder of spacesuit for NASA. His engineering responsibilities included the spacesuit primary life support system, specifically elements relating to heating, cooling, and climatic comfort for the interior spacesuit's environment for the astronauts. Since then, and for the last 17 years, Mark has been bringing leading-edge, environmentally friendly power, energy, and thermal technology products to the market. This has included collaborating with BMW on their first zero-emissions, hydrogen-powered 7 Series sedan. It also included a vice president executive role at Capstone Turbine Corporation, helping drive commercialization of their products from hand-built engineering beta units to the world leader in advanced technology microturbine power, heating, and cooling systems for commercial and industrial buildings. Mark has worked as a product manager, developing specialty technology products like a remote man, portable solar power systems for the U.S. Army and Marines. He has also played a driving role in bringing to market advanced large format lithium batteries and hybrid drivetrain technologies for applications like forklift trucks and low-emission hybrid electric city buses. Think of city bus-sized Toyota Priuses. That's awesome. Thanks for being here.
Wow, listening to all that, it sounds like I've been pretty busy.
Right? It's like, woo, look at my career. Isn't it fun when someone else tells you, like, reads that back, and you suddenly feel like, hey, I've accomplished some things in this life.
I haven't heard it read out loud quite like that, so thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I'm always here to cheer people up. Well, let's start, because right from that beginning of the bio, we talk about NASA. How did you work on a spacesuit? I think that is the coolest thing.
It was my first job out of engineering school. And if you imagine a kid leaving engineering school, your first job is working on spacesuits and astronauts are your customers.
So cool.
It was so cool. I got recruited into the role the same way a lot of folks just leaving school. I happened to get lucky and interview with the right folks at United Technologies.
Awesome.
Really interesting group of people. They had a guy there who'd been there for decades in the Space and Sea group, and his nickname was Dr. Flush because he had designed the toilet for the space shuttle.
Wow. And that's something that we forget needs to be designed directly. That's awesome. And then that's how you got your start in the heating and cooling.
Right. I've got almost 2 decades now of experience with new technologies and power, new energy technologies, thermal technologies, and BedJet started out for me as a hobby project. So I like to build things. I like to make things. I like to tinker. And BedJet, which is cooling and heating for your bed,
right,
on demand, started out as a tinker project that I designed and built on my kitchen table. The first Frankenstein prototype, just to see if I could do it.
But why this product? And the reason, this is so funny, because when I went to your website, I saw the illustration of the man, and he's needing more cooling, and the woman's needing more heat. Like, this sums up my life perfectly.
It can go the other way too. Some women need the cooling, but
Sure.
It really was born out of my own life.
Yeah.
So I've been a chronic hot sleeper. I wake up hot in the middle of the night. My wife and I used to just fight over the thermostat. I'd like it as cold as I could get it. She wanted it warm. And I thought, wait a second, I've helped keep astronauts perfectly comfortable in space, the most hostile environment out there. And yet so many of us aren't comfortable in our own beds. I thought it was kind of a ridiculous situation. And so I set my mind to trying to create the idealized climate control system for a bed, where you could press a button and feel cool, press a button and feel warm. And each person on their own side of the bed can have their own perfect sleep temperature. it never started out as a grand business plan or doing a lot of research and market studies. I'm like, let me just go build this thing. And the first prototype I tried out, I didn't know if it was going to work, Katrina. The first one looked like a Frankenstein of just combobulation of parts and wires. And I turned it on and I was like, wow, this thing feels pretty good.
What
And
was
then
it made out of? The Frankenstein version? Like,
it was a motor from a broken hand dryer,
Okay.
some homemade electronics, a heating coil out of like an old heater. I mean, just parts, buying stuff at Home Depot, and
Yeah.
it was in an ugly steel box, but it worked. And the minute I turned it on and the minute I got into bed and, turned it on cool, and I was cool and dry in 10 seconds, and I turned it on heat, and the whole bed was hot like a sauna in literally a minute. No product in the world can do that.
Yeah.
I realized there's a business here. And that's how BedJet started, really a tinker project that grew legs. And we did a Kickstarter on it, which was wildly successful. And that's how BedJet got founded.
Tell us about that Kickstarter. I feel like Kickstarter is such a desirable way to go, especially for those little tinker projects that you're trying to see if there's a market and a need for. So what do you think you did well that made it successful?
So I've been around the block enough on new product development and new product introduction to know we all have opinions about our inventions, right?
Sure.
I think my new gizmo is great. Everybody has some little passion project.
Right.
The reality is our opinions don't matter. And we can bring our invention to experts, right? Experts in the field or successful and wealthy other business people like maybe Shark Tank people.
Yeah.
And try to get their opinion. And the reality is their opinion doesn't matter. The only opinion that matters on these new ideas and inventions is the paying customer who's going to pull cash out of his wallet. And so Kickstarter is an absolutely amazing place to test a new idea because these are people who are voting with their wallets on whether they believe your invention should exist.
Yeah.
And, I've seen so many products that didn't deserve to exist that somebody spent a lot of money on and were total flops. I knew better than to invest my life savings and mortgage my house and do all these things on just an idea. I needed market validation. And with Kickstarter, you get that voice of the customer. And if the voice says yes, you also get the money.
Right. And that's the exciting thing. Yes, you get the money and you get the orders, right?
You get the pre-orders, right? And so we did 2 Kickstarters, and it was really the first that got the business started. The second wound up being the most successful Kickstarter in the tech category of 2015.
Oh, wow.
So, we really blazed some success with that one. And that's what really got our company going.
What was your goal? What was your funding goal?
Pretty small. It really wasn't about the funding at that time. It was more about, is this something people are even going to want?
Sure.
Right? I was in that phase where I think it's cool. A few people who've tried it think it's cool, but does it have legs? Are people going to want this in their home? And so for me, it wasn't so much like I got to have X number of dollars or it's a flop. It's more, I need the feedback.
Yeah.
I need to know. And it turned out there happened to be this massive unmet latent demand of people who are like, you know what? I'm hot too.
Yeah, right.
I sweat all the time. My husband's sweating all the time. I can't cuddle with my wife. She's too cold. All these things, right? And, the list goes on and on. Like, I didn't even know. Menopausal women who get hot flashes and night sweats, and chemotherapy patients who wake up drenched in cold sweats, and, MS and Raynaud's disease. There's so many communities of people that the BedJet turned out not just to be a luxury comfort item, but a fix for a terrible problem that was keeping them from sleeping.
I think you really hit something, because I think so many of us just think, I'm a hot sleeper, I'm a cold sleeper. This is just what I have to deal with, right? There's no real solution other than, in my case, bring an extra blanket or use less blanket or whatever. And
Right.
I love that you found all these different categories of people who are like, yeah, I need that. I've always needed that.
Katrina, they found me.
That's,
And
well,
that was the great part about this business. We put the solution out there.
yeah,
And to me, I thought it was a luxury comfort device.
right.
And all these people with these sleep challenges, thermal sleep challenges, they found us because
Mm-hmm.
they've all been looking for something, right? Your menopausal women, they try their hormonal therapy and this and that, cooling sheets, gel pads, nothing worked.
Right.
And they came to us and they tried it out and it worked.
That's awesome. So tell us about Shark Tank. When did Shark Tank come into the mix? Were you a couple years into business?
Right. So Shark Tank, and if anyone hasn't seen our segment, they hated me. They hated my product.
Spoiler
They
alert.
even managed to insult my mother, although they cut that part out. I mean, it was as
Awesome.
bad a Shark Tank rejection as you can get. And it came very early, so we weren't even in production. We
Okay.
started marketing the BedJet. We did the Kickstarters. We went to some trade shows. We got tremendous response at the trade shows. We had handshake deals with people like Brookstone and Mattress Firm and Bed Bath and Beyond, even before we were in production.
Wow.
So we went to Shark Tank maybe 4 months before the product actually started shipping. And one of the things that went wrong there, of course, was we didn't have any revenue. So
Right.
we were
That's always a
pitching,
hard one.
yeah, we were pitching prototypes. We were pitching an idea. And it just went south so badly. Um, you know, in getting cast for the show,
Right.
you go through probably a dozen to two dozen gates with the producers where they have you send in video pitches, refine the pitch, constantly honing and judging and narrowing down. I mean, 50,000 people apply for
Wow.
200 slots that get flown out. And of those 200 slots, they only keep only 150 make the show on any
Wow.
season. So,
Mm-hmm.
you have a higher likelihood of making the NBA as a high school basketball player than applying to Shark Tank and getting on the show. It's statistics, right? So you prepare for every possible question, every piece of data. You hone, you're flawless, you're ready. The one thing I did not prepare for, the one potential scenario
Mm-hmm.
was that they would instantly hate me and instantly hate the BedJet.
Wait, but they
And
hated you, like your personality, just didn't like you.
there was a few things that happened. I think that there probably was something about my pitch or personality that maybe rubbed one of them the wrong way. But the big thing that happened was Lori Grenier, the QVC girl, she had asked a question, and I missed it. What most people don't realize on Shark Tank, they're firing questions at you. They're shouting over each other. You don't see it because they edit the mics, right? But it's kind of like being a president at a press conference, right? All the reporters are shouting over each other. Everything's happening at the same time. You got to just pick who you're going to talk to. She asked a question. I missed it. And then she asked it again. And I'm engaged over here and she's over there. And she says, Mark, if you don't answer my question, I'm out. I still, I'm not hearing it.
Was it?
And then she yells, I'm out. The whole studio stops. Everyone looks over. I don't even know what happened, and then I really profusely apologized because it was a genuine miss. There was no intention of ignoring her.
Sure.
But she chose to make an example out of it. I don't know if that was her pride, honestly.
Don't you feel so lucky?
To me, looking at the videos now, she kind of came off a little bratty, but I apologized and she wouldn't take the apology just out. And it was all south.
Yeah, they all fell after that. What is that like, though? I mean, so I recently had this opportunity to pitch 40 corporations for what we do at Padron Marketing. And what I really liked about this, is like they all want you to win, right? They're all there trying to find out what's innovative and new in the market. And it's not a TV show, right? And so I feel like they're more encouraging, but it was still really stressful to get up and do that, because you also, as a business owner, you feel like, oh, so much is on the line, like this could really make something tremendous happen. And so what is it like standing there when you know that it's going south? Like, how do you maintain composure and not fall apart?
Apparently I did. On the inside, I was like, what the F is happening right now? I think I might have dabbed a bit of sweat off my forehead or my cheek or something. But yeah, of course, it's a nervous moment. When you're standing outside those doors, even before you walk out on the studio, there's a makeup artist next to you, literally every 20 seconds, patting your face with powder, just to absorb the sweat. It's that kind of environment. For us, I didn't look at it as a make or break for the company. Some people do.
Yeah.
And for some people it is. I went out there thinking this is just going to be butter, right? This is going to be great. There's no downside.
Sure.
And the outcome, definitely, when you have an outcome like that and you have 4, 5 wealthy, successful business people publicly in front of 7 million people telling you you're garbage, your product is garbage, you're going to burn in hell, nobody wants a BedJet. You're shaken for a few minutes, right? You walk off and you're like, maybe they're right.
Right.
Luckily for me, we had so much positive momentum on the product going in, so many titans of industry who are knowledgeable of the industry, right? Telling us this thing's great. We've been looking for something like this for a long time. And, I draw off a deep well of self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was able to recover from that. But I'll tell you the one nugget for anyone who goes to a wealthy, successful person for advice and expertise, right? Those people got where they are, billionaires, millionaires. They got there by only being right 60 or 70% of the time.
Oh, that's
right? They don't get there by being right 100% of the time. You don't have to be right 100% of the time in business.
right.
If you're wrong more than 50% of the time, you got some trouble ahead.
Yeah.
But you only have to be right enough.
Mm-hmm.
And the takeaway was really, and this goes back to what I said about opinions on products and Kickstarters. The only opinions that matter with a new idea or invention are the paying customers.
Right.
It's not 5 millionaire billionaires. It's not other wealthy, successful business people. It's the people who are going to take cash out of their wallet. And in the case of Shark Tank, they just happen to not get it.
Right.
Now, I get the last laugh. I wound up getting a deal with QVC on my own.
Oh, no way.
Which was great. We sold a ton of product. It was a lot of fun being on QVC. And BedJet went from Mr. Wonderful saying nobody will ever want this to the #1 customer rated product on all of Amazon in the entire mattress category, right? 2,500 other companies selling stuff in bedding, and BedJet's #1. We've tripled sales every year. We're hiring. I mean, I think we're the top 5 most successful Shark Tank fails in the history of the show. So
that is so inspiring. Like, I love that. You have such a positive outlook, and I feel like so many people can learn from that, what you just said right there, that you're one of the top best fails. Right? Like, I did it. That's awesome.
Well, the people who succeeded had it easy after the show, right?
Well, right.
They had the money, and they had the PR and the backing.
Yeah.
We had the opposite working against us.
Do you feel like even, and we're close to wrapping up here, so my last question is, do you feel like even though you had a fail, Shark Tank brought exposure so people knew what to be searching for? Do you feel
Absolutely.
like
Absolutely. If you can make it through Shark Tank without making a personal ass out of yourself.
Okay, sure. That's the
some people do, right? Some people, they fail on that. And your product is something that people resonate with and they get. Then it's absolutely net positive for you, no matter how negative the sharks go, no matter how bad a fail it is. We had 7 million eyeballs on the first episode. And
Wow.
the episode aired the month we started shipping product. So that's paying for 7 million eyeballs on TV with paid advertising. No way could we afford that. So it
Yeah.
was absolutely helpful and net positive. In fact, I'm very grateful and thankful for being on the show, and the producers and the casting people, like everybody involved with the show. They're so nice. They're so nice to work with. They want you to succeed. They make it a great environment to be at. It's just those 5 folks on stage that you got to deal with.
Yeah, no, that's but I think that's awesome advice too. If you can just maintain your composure, because when we watch it back, the edited versions, right? And as the audience, we're like, oh, well, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Why are they falling apart? But it's got to be so challenging and stressful in that environment to keep it together. But I think you're right, to get that exposure one way or another is really valuable. Well, I appreciate you being here, Mark. That was fun, and how awesome. What a cool experience.
Thank you, Katrina. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.